All right. Hello and welcome aboard the Paul Gallant Show on this Thursday, December 7th of 2023. You can watch it live, youtube.com/Paul Gallant, twitch.tv/Gallant Says, on X @Gallant Says, facebook.com/Paul Gallant Sports, and on Instagram @Sports Gallant. It's also available after the fact wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. You ever have a question, Gallant Says @gmail.com. Couple of things to talk about on today's show, but let's interact with some people. Justin Booz at youtube.com/Paul Gallant comments, playoffs bound. Yes, the Houston Texans would be in the playoffs if the season ended today, thanks to a little help from the team that was, and I found out tonight, still is, my religion. Hackashack, meanwhile, comments, Paulie, it's past your bedtime. When you don't take care of yourself with good sleep habits, you never have a bedtime. It also helps to be single with only a cat living with you. So we'll talk about this game Sunday against the Texans for the first time this year. I'm willing to say they are a lock to win against a team that they are better than. It's obviously the NFL. Anything can happen on any given Sunday. We're also going to talk about a very sensitive player that I used to cover who exposed his ass. But first, can I be me for a moment? For those who know me, who've known me long enough, I grew up in Massachusetts, lived there till I was 14, diehard psychotic Patriots fan growing up. And while I've been away from Boston for a while, it's the one part of my childhood as a sports fan that still lives with me. But this year's been fucking tough. It has been tough. Because they've been really, really bad. This is the worst that they've ever been in my life. Outside of maybe 2000. And I mean from when I was sports conscious. They were 5-11 in 2000. So I got to say, tonight, on a day where I was thinking to myself, can I ask for permission to jump on the Houston Texans bandwagon? I can't quite do it. Maybe there'll be a day down the road, but watching a Thursday night football game, a meaningless game with Bailey fucking Zappi and Mitchell Trubisky under center, I saw the Steelers on the other sideline. I know Bill Belichick going into the game was 13-4 all time with the Patriots against the Steelers, and my inner masshole came out. Yeah, dude, Bailey Zappi's the fucking future. If you think otherwise, you're a fucking idiot. On top of that, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a bunch of fucking losers. Hey, how about you go tattle and talk to that Senator Arlen Specter again and get him to try to drum up some sort of FBI federal investigation into the Pats like he did. Oh, wait, he can't anymore because he's dead. You could have told him to go fuck up another investigation into the death of an American president, a guy who also happened to be a masshole, a guy from Boston. How about that? Fuck you, Steelers. Suck it, you fucking losers. Okay? Got out of my system. The masshole was, he was all over the place tonight. I was yelling at my TV. I haven't yelled at my TV in a while. And yeah, I'm doing it about a Patriots game against the Steelers. And I'm going to bring it back to the Texans right now. I am not a loser. I refuse to root for my team to lose so that they get a better draft position. And if we should learn anything from this past year's draft, it's that everyone is talking out of their ass leading up to the draft. This idea that Bryce Young was better than C.J. Stroud or C.J. Stroud was better than Bryce Young, that anyone knew that before the draft is just such a crock of shit. No one fucking knew. People are going to claim they knew. No one knew. But I thought that down the stretch, a lot of Texans fans were exhibiting Jets fan behavior, which is just a constant wish for the best possible draft pick, which your team ultimately might fuck up. That happens a lot. It's a lottery ticket. It's not even a very good lottery ticket, you know? And I just want to go back in time. And when I see the Patriots beat the Steelers, I know there's going to be some Pats fans that are like, yeah, we fucked up our draft position, dude. What are we going to fucking do? Let's go to Cumberland Farms and get some malt liquor or something like that. We drink it and we forget about all our problems. If we get the Pats aren't going to be able to draft a quarterback in fucking April or whatever. But like, there's going to be some people that do that. I don't want anything to do with them. I think those people are losers. And yeah, this is going to sound like toxic masculinity, but I think they're lesser men. I think you're a loser if you're rooting for your football team with all these guys who are getting in car crashes every single play to purposefully lose game so that they can draft a guy to replace them the next year. It's just fucking gross. Really. It's gross. People were rooting for the Colts to beat the Texans the last game of the season. Isn't there like a subsection of Texans Reddit that just says, fuck the Colts? What are we at the fuck count by now? It's probably the most F-bombs we've dropped at the beginning of the show. I think I've been advised to not do that. I know I'm probably making my mother die a little bit inside by doing it. Whatever. I just think it's beneath anyone to root for their team to lose for better draft picks. I've said this many, many times, but I'm happy that the Patriots won tonight or last night if you're listening to this, in a game where it was pretty ugly, and also didn't help the Patriots really at all. Help the Texans get in the playoffs. The season were to end today. Let's read some comments here. Brett Dismuke comments, youtube.com/PaulGallant. This Sunday smells like a trap game. I don't disagree. I don't. But we'll dive into the reasons why it shouldn't be as much of a trap game as maybe some other games the Texans have played against lesser teams this year were. They've lost a couple of games to teams that they shouldn't have lost to. Another commenter, youtube.com/PaulGallant. I don't like this weather up in East Rutherford on Sunday. Well, the Jets sure as shit don't, because guess what? They're juggling all their terrible quarterbacks around, and to the point where one of them didn't even want to play going into this game. More comments. If George Fant doesn't play right tackle this Sunday, then who is going to play in his spot? That is a great question. I suppose it could be Jamarco Jones. I suppose it could be, not Jamarco Jones. Jamarco Jones. I'm confusing my Joneses. I gotta look at the depth chart really quickly. Josh Jones. Could be Josh Jones. Could be Charlie Heck. Yeah, it's not ideal if he can't go. We'll see. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world if they don't have that guy ready to go. I don't. I also think it's the end of the world if they don't have, Tank Dell or something like that, though. It definitely makes things a little bit more difficult. You take a look at their depth chart. Heck is the backup left tackle. The backup right tackle is also Charlie Heck. So it seems like it would be Charlie Heck. But again, that's just a depth chart that's listed online. For all we know, they'll do some juggling and they'll move Michael Dieter to a right tackle or something like that. Jacob Byers comments the Steelers are trash. They're not, but I think it's hilarious that the Patriots always beat them, and I always enjoy the extra cherry on top of some sort of shady happenings going on that makes Steelers fans feel like they're always being cheated. And I would say that the false start that was called on that punt by the Steelers, where a guy on the Patriots clearly jumped off sides and seemed pissed off at himself afterwards, and then the replay shows that he just moved the ball around, but centers do that before every single punt. I loved it, because now Steelers fans are going to be mad and act like the NFL's rigged for a 2-10 football team that no one wants to watch any more of. Andrew Van Lonen says, my Steelers fan roommate is in shambles right now. I mean, he should have known. It's Mitchell Trubisky under center that there was a chance to lose, and they're definitely not making the playoffs. They lost a game to the Cardinals and the Patriots back-to-back. Like, that's historic. Texans 22. Shout out to you. I was one of the few happy Texans fans after we won the Colts game because I did not want us to draft Bryce Young. Okay. Well, you have ended up right, but I feel like saying you didn't want somebody or you did want somebody going into the draft is the reason I kind of stayed away from it altogether, which a lot of people accuse me of being lazy for, but I just don't see the point of predicting what a person's going to be before I actually see him out there, I'd rather react than have a prediction that ends up being wrong. What do I have to gain if I'm right? If I'm wrong about a quarterback going into a draft? Nothing. What do I have to gain if I'm right? Oh, he's a biased fan. No. More comments. Twitch.tv/Gallant says, Bleed Blue asks, it's late. When do you sleep? Well, yesterday I went to bed at 10:30. Generally, I go to sleep around midnight. He also asks where my nice sweater went. I was wearing a awesome Christmas cat sweater today. Jacob Ayers comments, youtube.com/Paul Gallant. And we'll get into some Texans and Jets conversation once more people get in to our live chat. Can we tear down MetLife? You'd be safer playing in the Astrodome than the MetLife turf. I disagree. Are we talking current Astrodome too? Because I imagine that turf has also seen some wear and tear. Plus, there's asbestos, there's cats, there's rats, there's bats. So a bit of a hyperbole there. But yeah, these turf fields are not great. They're not great. I'll agree with you at least there. Rick Hagwood says it's rainy, slippery footballs and footing. Low-scoring game. It's a toss-up? Man, a lot of doubt from you guys here. A lot of doubt. Rain on Sunday, we already know CJ doesn't like his balls wet. Listen, guys, you're looking at this the wrong way. Here is why I think the Houston Texans definitively will win on Sunday. And I have yet to say that this year because there was always a thought in the back of my mind. They're a young team. It's the NFL. You can lose any given Sunday. And, of course, they lost to the Falcons and Desmond Ridder, and they made Desmond Ridder look good. And, of course, they lost to the Carolina Panthers. It's the only game where Bryce Young has looked good all season long. All I said going into all those games, including the game against the Arizona Cardinals as well, is that the Texans should win, but the only thing that they can possibly do in this game is embarrass themselves. You expect them to win. If they lose, you're like, oh, fuck, what's this? But I never went so far as to say they're winning against the Cardinals. I will, for the first time this year, I didn't say it against the Broncos either. I will, for the first time this year, say the Texans will beat the New York Jets on Sunday. And if I'm wrong, I guess I'm never making a prediction again. But just think about all the shit the Jets are dealing with this week. This week's New York Jets are one of the more public sports messes that I've ever seen. And keep in mind, this is the Jets we're talking about. By Jets standards, this is a messy fucking week. So, Tim Boyle's been bad for them. They cut him. And there was a report that they were going to ask, or at least consider, moving Zach Wilson from third on the depth chart back into the starting role. Wilson, who probably just wants out of New York if we're going to defend a young kid, I guess was reluctant to come back in. And there's been some reporting that that wasn't the case, but the people I know are insisting that, yeah, he was reluctant at first. Diana Rossini doubled down on that report. And also, Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show seemed to confirm it by saying he's annoyed with all the leaks in the building. But then you saw Robert Saleh in the press conference say, no, Zach never said that. And Zach Wilson in his press conference said, no, I never said that. I never felt that way. If you are on this Jets team, I don't know how you focus for this week with the team at 4-8 and all this shit going on in the quarterback room. And the Jets do have some really good defensive players, but there's only so much you can do when you know that you're fucked on offense. To a lesser extent, for those who remember the 2016 Houston Texans, a team that I used to go into the locker room of on a regular basis, I always felt like the defense was in a corner just glaring at the offense and specifically Brock Osweiler. And that was a team that actually made the playoffs and won a playoff game. This team has no chance of doing that. You've got, I think, frustrated players on the offensive side of the ball because they're like, fuck, we can't do a damn thing at quarterback. We didn't trade for a better option at quarterback. Not that that necessarily would have made things better. And if you're on the defensive side of things, you're thinking to yourself, I mean, if I'm a good player, am I really going to give my all when this game isn't going to matter? And yeah, you play for pride and all of that, and all right, the Texans, if you beat them, that's something that you can write home about or feel good about yourself afterwards. But do you think that this Jets team is going to be able to focus on a week like this? And on the other side of things, we're talking about D'Amico Ryan's approach this week. And I'm talking about philosophy. I'm not really talking about X's and O's here. D'Amico has two examples to show the Texans of when they took a team lightly. The Falcons and the Panthers. Is that the reason that they lost those games? I don't know. But he can at least point at the board and say, hey, you fucked up before. Now, this is a young team. They're getting better as the season goes along. Hopefully this time around, they look at the Jets and say, no, this is a good team, and somehow convince themselves that the offense for the New York Jets is actually capable of scoring points. I feel like, though, just like for D'Amico, this whole year is going to be a learning process. It's a learning process for these players, and I feel like they're going to be able to focus on the Jets, and weather should not be such a factor that it evens the playing field entirely for these two teams. It shouldn't. If it is, that's a disappointment. Because this, of the games left for the Houston Texans, I would argue it's the easiest. Just because of everything the Jets are dealing with right now. Everything they're dealing with. And Wilson is capable of making occasionally a pretty impressive play. But he's still Zach fucking Wilson. And I've seen enough Zach Wilson to know, like, ugh, not good. Not good. I'm going to read some comments here. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. You can also jump aboard Twitch.tv/Gallant says, Jacob Ayers, it's hard to lose when Zach Wilson has quit on Robert Saleh. I think Robert Saleh's quit on Zach Wilson. I think everyone's quit on Zach Wilson. I think a lot of players have quit on Robert Saleh. Jacob continues saying, D'Amico is just Robert Saleh, but actually good. That's kind of funny. Hackashack comments, the Jets make games close, but end up sucking when it's all said and done. The Texans should definitely win. Da Rhino on Twitch.tv/Gallant says comments, it's definitely a shit show. Jacob continues saying, it's hilarious how bad that Hard Knocks has aged. Anyone who watched it looked bad when you watched it. Robert Saleh seems so full of shit. Remember the crows pecking at necks bullshit that he was pushing? Like, yeah, like sometimes crows peck at an eagle's neck and the eagle flies up into the atmosphere and then the crow suffocates and it falls back to the earth and dies. Like, these are adults. They don't need fucking motivation. They needed Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers is out. More comments. Justin Booth says, we got to get our tight ends involved. Help the running game. It's time to stop playing and start standing on business. Let's shock the world. Are we all gonna start saying standing on business because CJ Stroud said it after the game on Sunday when I asked him about Middleton blasting him? Come on, I refuse to say we got to start standing on business. Dalton Schultz practiced this week. He didn't play on Sunday. I thought Brevin Jordan had a great game on Sunday. I think D'Amico might have said it was the best game that we've ever seen out of Brevin Jordan. Throwing to the tight ends would be good. I don't know what to expect from the running game. They were not good against one of the worst run defenses in the NFL of late, in the Denver Broncos on Sunday. Devin Singletary was gone for a weird amount of time, and Dameon Pierce had that one play where he stole the ball from CJ Stroud, which was not great. So I wonder about their ability to run the football there. More comments here. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. We need that New Jersey police officer, Texans fan, who calls into New York radio to troll the Jets in the VIP box. I haven't heard of that person before. I'll look him up before tomorrow's show. Let me actually copy and paste that. Seriously, sometimes you learn something new every single day on the internet. 290 Shouty. I like the handle. Sup? CJ Stroud yards. 217 on Prize Picks. You got to take the over, fellas. Over 217. It's the Jets. The weather's not great. I don't know. But I'm like the worst when it comes to gambling. MyBookie.ag, promo code BET975. Up to a deposit, $1,000 bonus, your first deposit. Also, Pendleton Whiskey. It's cut with the, what is it? Made from the finest northern grains and cut with Mount Hood Glacier water. It is good stuff. What else do we have here? What's your record prediction for the Texans for the end of the year? Here's what I'll say. This has yet to be made public yet because we did this video before the season. I said going into the year that the Texans would be 10-7, but I was optimistic and I was like, I like D'Amico, I like CJ Stroud. I didn't really have any reason to do it. And I also thought that their schedule was pretty easy. I think they'll beat the Jets. I think they will beat the Titans at least once. I don't know which game. I think they will beat the Colts. I do not know what is going to happen with the Browns. So I think 10-7. And 10-7 might be enough to get in. It is a crowded AFC playoff race. NFL already has updated their playoff picture. So for those who don't know, Dolphins have the 1 seed, 9-3. Ravens have the 2. They play the Rams. Dolphins play the Titans. Chiefs have the 3. Kansas City plays the Bills. They're 8-4. Jaguars also 8-4. They play the Browns. The Browns are the 5 seed. But, of course, their quarterback situation is a bit of a mess. We don't know if it's going to be Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Joe Flacco, who played last Sunday. The Colts, Shane Steichen, in my opinion, is the coach of the year. I know everyone wants to give it to D'Amico Ryans, but, I mean, he's done this, and Anthony Richardson's not playing. Jonathan Taylor wasn't playing a bunch of the year. You had all that bullshit with Jim Irsay before the season began. I would give it to Steichen. And also, Steichen beat D'Amico in the one game that we saw the two teams play against each other. And the Texans right now are the 7. Steelers are 8. Broncos are 9. Bengals are 10. Bills are 11. All those last 3 teams, the Broncos, Bengals, and Bills, they are all 6-6. The AFC, it is loaded. The Bills of those 3 teams you would think would be the one to rise up, but did you see the bullshit that they're dealing with right now? God damn it, Sean McDermott. You're going to use 9-11 to try to motivate the troops? Jesus, dude. Come on. We're better than that, aren't we? What else do we have? YouTube.com/Paul Gallant, Twitch.tv/Gallant says. Texans over under 33. He thinks the Texans are going to blow the Jets out 40-17. I don't know with the weather being like that. Why am I being this guy about the weather? I shouldn't be this. If it was snow or something like that, maybe I'd feel a little bit differently. But snow usually helps the offense out a little bit. Texans 22 says prediction 17-6. Hackashack with Fant out, who will jump on the fumble after Tunsil allows his man to strip sack CJ. Jesus. Ye have little faith in the Texans' very expensive tackles. You see Jeremy Branham tweet that video of Laramie Tunsil not getting into a squab with the Denver Broncos. And then Laramie Tunsil actually responded to it, and it led to a back and forth between he and Big Sarge Sports. I guess they did a show together this afternoon. I listened to a little of it. They weren't talking Texans, though. They were talking about basketball. They were doing LeBron versus MJ. Sarge said something about Will Chamberlain that made me laugh. 290 Shoddy. Does anyone fuck with insert gambling site here? No. MyBookie.ag, promo code BET975. D'Amico Sanko, sup, twitch.tv/Gallant says. Thank you, Pats. J713, what's up with all the Boston stuff in your office? If you tuned into the beginning of this, I'm originally from Boston. I was a diehard Patriots fan growing up. I'm wearing a Patriots fucking shirt from Boston. Probably been to like 70 Patriots games in my life. I think I've been to more Texans games than NRG Stadium, but I've been to a ton of Patriots games, and that is like my de facto number 1 sports team. And I was thinking to myself after yesterday's show, especially if like the Patriots were to lose, am I going to start feeling myself in a way where I did in baseball, a sport I don't care nearly as much about? Am I going to start thinking to myself, you know what, Texans are sexy all of a sudden. CJ Stroud, the new Tom Brady. And then I watched tonight's game, and I hate the Steelers, and I like the Patriots when they beat the Steelers. And I thought to myself, you know what, fuck it. I'm still a Patriots fan. Still a Patriots fan. So there you go, bro. Blah, 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 blah. Doop-a-doop, boop-a-doop. Marty McFly, Facebook.com/Polygon Sports. Let's fucking go. I agree. Brett DeSmookie asks, are we looking to add any weapons to replace Tank? They really can't at this point in the year. Not enough cap space and generally anybody available right now. Not going to help that much. I know that they signed Adrian Amos as safety. I think that kind of tells you where they feel they are at if they added a safety and they did not add a wide receiver. Big opportunity here for John Mechie. Big opportunity here for Aiden Hutchinson. Robert Woods needs to do more. And Noah Brown, who was open and had a couple of big weeks, is that just a 2-week blip, or is that something he can do again? We'll see. There we go, guys. There we go. All right, I have one last thing I want to touch on. I don't know how many people have seen this Jamal Adams stuff going on. For those who don't know, I spent 2 years in Seattle covering the Seattle Seahawks. I have been for 8 of the last 10 years covering Houston sports, but when I was working for the Texans flagship, they took me out bat and shot me like I'm Tommy DeVito. So he ended up moving because I needed a job. It's crazy how quickly time flies. I've been back officially, I think, for 2 years as of today. Now that I think about it. Drove back from Seattle down to Bakersfield, California, to Phoenix, to Fort Collins, Fort Stockton on the west, and then the last drive was all the way over to Houston, and now I'm back. Christopher Holton asks, isn't Noah Brown questionable this weekend? Isn't everybody questionable when you really think about it? Paul, you haven't looked at the injury report. Yeah, I generally do that before the show on Friday. Let's talk about Jamal Adams for a second, though. So I covered Jamal Adams when the Seahawks traded for him. The day the Seahawks traded for him was the day that I went viral on many conservative media outlets for changing my mind about how much of a shit show Seattle was. Finally being like, oh yeah, this is bad. I got fucking destroyed on national TV by Tucker Carlson, among other people. Fun couple of days. But anyway, that day, the Seahawks traded 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams. I thought to myself, all right, well, hey, this might be good, but 2 first-round picks for a safety is fucking crazy. But hey, I'm going to have an open mind. In his first year, he had almost 10 sacks. And you're like, hey, this guy's a great blitzer. But there were a couple of moments during that season where he went viral for looking absolutely horrible in coverage. Look, he's a safety. Are you expecting a safety to cover a wide receiver man-on-man? So he got really upset about people tweeting videos of him getting essentially dunked on in coverage. There was one where it was Stephon Diggs against him, and he looked really bad. So he got sensitive about it. One of my buddies up in Seattle who used to work at the Comcast/NBC Sports regional affiliate that was up there, he covered the Seahawks for them. Joe Fan would ask him questions about his struggles. And Adams would get really sensitive when those questions got asked, like really sensitive. And he said, oh, I'm not salty, and these back and forths with Joe. And he would, whenever Joe was at a press conference, say, like, where's Mr. Joe? Does Mr. Joe have a question? Very big, hey, I don't actually care, ha, 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 I don't care about what you say, ha, ha, energy in these press conferences. And Jets fans used to shit on him. And I felt a need to be defensive of Jamal Adams because generally I think Jets fans are idiots. I think when you live in a city with options and you actually root for the Jets when they've been this much of a joke for such a long period of time, just look at them this week, like what a mess they've been. Like, I just think less of you as a sports fan. No offense. Sorry. I'm a Patriots fan. What can I say? And also, I figured they were just bitter because he wanted out of a sinking ship. They were a shitty organization. So they're going to get mad, naturally. That's how it works when somebody forces their way out of town. I mean, we're used to it. James Harden, Deshaun Watson. So I was defensive of him a couple of times. And in retrospect, I don't know why. I don't know why someone like me who works in media, still is a sports fan at heart, but less of one that he was when he was a kid. I felt like a fool kind of for defending him. And especially now where he goes after a Jets writer by the name of Connor Hughes, Connor Hughes retweeted a video of him with the Seahawks getting basically emasculated by Dallas Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson, who Adams had gotten back and forth with last week on Thursday Night Football. Like, Adams essentially headbutted Ferguson at one point in the game after Ferguson ran him over. And Ferguson basically posterized him on a touchdown reception. So someone tweeted the video out, and Connor Hughes just retweeted it saying, yikes. So Jamal Adams found a picture of Connor Hughes with his wife and retweeted it saying, yikes. It's like such a cunty move by Jamal Adams. I guess it's a defense mechanism. Like, you lost in that moment, but why are you upset about someone calling you out for a video that's widely available to everyone? Do you think this is going to make you look better? No, it's not. It's going to make you look like an asshole on top of a guy who got fucking emasculated by the latest rando Dallas Cowboy white tight end. So, in that moment right there, Adams showed us his ass, but he deleted the tweet. So you figure, all right, he's going to try to move on from it. And I think Pete Carroll said something along the lines of, yeah, we talked with him. And Pete Carroll gave a very, like, player-friendly non-answer. Like, maybe he shouldn't have done that. I don't know. But Adams said, like, you go low, I'll go lower at a press conference after this all went down. And again, I just can't understand how someone can be so sensitive about visual and widely available video of them failing. It sucks, but you got to take the L. What are you going to do? Like, say, oh, well, actually, like, you can't. There's nothing you could do. And deflecting and say, like, the guy's wife is ugly or something like that, which I think he was trying to imply. By the way, she's not. Like, I'm not saying she's like the belle of the ball, but, like, that picture was, I thought, a fairly flattering picture of her. That's not the way to shift the focus away from you. It's more people are going to focus on you. And now more people are going to think you're an asshole, including people that, for whatever reason, felt the need to defend you against idiot Jets fans. So there you go, guys. So there you go. All right, guys. We're going to do a show live tomorrow. So that means no new YouTube videos. We might be able to do videos from the Paul Gallant Show on the radio on remotes in the future. I got to work on the technology for that. I do have a new laptop at the very least, so maybe it'll be possible at some point. But I appreciate everybody who joins every single time I do one of these. You can do it. Gallant Says on X. Gallant Says on Twitch. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Facebook.com/Paul Gallant Sports. Instagram.com/Sports Gallant. I guess we don't really do the backslash thing anymore, but that's my handle. And it's also available wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. There will be an episode on Sunday. Apologies for no episode this past Sunday. I went to a bachelor party in Fredericksburg, and I had no voice. None. I had to save it for the job that actually pays me money. But I appreciate you guys jumping aboard, as I always do. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channels, leave a review in podcast form. Huzzah! So long, farewell. You guys have yourselves a wonderful weekend. We'll be back at it Sunday night after a lock of a Houston Texans